Okay. We'll go ahead and call the Cuyahoga County Finance and Budget Committee meeting for Monday, September 28th, 2015. The order, the clerk, please call the roll.
Calling the roll, Mr. Greenspan.
Here.
Mr. Miller.
Here.
Mr. Jones.
Here.
Mr. Hairston.
Here.
Mr. Gallagher.
Here.
Mr. Schron. Mr. Schron is absent. Ms. Brown.
Here.
We have a quorum, and I'd like the record to reflect that Ms. Conwell is in attendance.
Very good, thank you. Any public comment related to the agenda?
No, Mr. Chair, no one has signed in.
Okay, before us are the minutes from the September 21st, 2015 committee meeting. If there are any amendments to the minutes, I'll entertain a motion to adopt as presented.
I move to adopt as presented. Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those minutes are approved. Today we have three matters referred to committee. They're all related to one another. So maybe for the sake of expediency and if it's parliamentarily correct, have the clerk read all three so we'll have discussion freely about all three at the same time.
Resolution 2015-0197, making an award on requisition number 27417 to N. Harris Computer Corporation in the amount not to exceed $3,763,701 for software implementation services for the real property tax system for the period 10/1/2015 through 9/30/2020. Resolution 2015-0198, making an award on requisition number 27417 to N. Harris Computer Corporation in the amount not to exceed $1,441,900 for software licenses for the real property tax system effective 10/1/2015. Resolution 2015-0199, making an award on requisition number 27417 to N. Harris Computer Corporation in the amount not to exceed $2,410,668 for support and maintenance services for the real property tax system for the period 10/1/2015 through 9/30/2020.
Great, thank you. Mr. Mowry.
He's still with us, as in the planet, but not with the agency. My name is Debbie Daftovich. I'm the Web and Applications Administrator. I've been involved in the real property tax collection project, the gathering of the requirements, and the development of the various contracts. The primary purpose of the system is to reduce tax bills for the county. The current system supports over 500,000 parcels and registrations, associated maintenance with lender files, and everything it really takes to produce a tax bill and charge those assessments. As of 2013, that number was $84 billion in taxable property value and over $2.7 billion of taxes charged. This system is used by the Fiscal Office and the Treasury Office to maintain legal property information, taxpayer information contracts. We originally went out for an RFP to replace the system in 2009. Due to the change in the government structure, that was never followed through with. We made no award with that RFP. We took a second look at our requirements, and we put together a second RFP, which was published in 2013. As a result of that, we had 4 bidders. The budgeted amount for this project was $15 million. We are recommending an award to the N. Harris Corporation for about half that amount, $7.6 million. About $1 million of those dollars are optional, tied to a contingency amount in case there are any interfaces that we missed, a report that we didn't spec out, or just some requirement somehow slipped through the cracks. We will have a series to issue and approve change orders and sign off on those dollars as appropriate. We also asked for a 12-month parallel period broken out into quarters, and basically that means we would run the new system along with the old system in parallel at the same time to make sure that everything is processing properly and that we're happy with the system as configured. We have numerous problems with the existing system. The code is probably 20 years old. We originally implemented it in 2000. At that time, the code base was probably about 5 years old. There's a lot of manual processes that are done by the various offices today. due to corrections or modifications. There's a lot of exporting to Excel and managing files outside of the system. We'd like to make sure everything is contained within the system, and we have one comprehensive system. The database structure that currently houses this data is very complicated. We have a very hard time, running queries against the database because it is so complicated. Because of the performance issues that we've had, we have to do a lot of breaking up of batch jobs and again, just kind of babysitting the system in order to make it work for us. One other thing that we don't have available today is kind of a point in time on the web. You can see your tax bill on the web, and the people in the back office can see when a payment is applied, how it's applied to the various delinquencies or the various methods, but on the web that is not available. So that's one thing we're looking forward to with the new system. So the highlights of this system are the improved tax bill accuracy and basically the increased speed of the system. It comes with a pre-configured web portal, so taxpayers will be able to pay online, see how their payments are applied. It's a modern architecture and a transparent data model, so as we move forward and we do a lot of open data initiatives, we will have a clear understanding of this data model and this database so that we can fulfill those requests. And it's a highly configurable system, so we'll be able to have internal resources, configure screens, and add functionality that with our previous system we would have to contact the vendor to do. We've also included in this contract extended support, so if council should so choose to make a change that's related to tax bills, those changes are covered in these contracts. So again, there are 3 contracts. One is a license agreement, one is a support and maintenance agreement, and one is a software implementation agreement. And the total of those 3 contracts is $7.6 million. On the last page, I've provided a payment breakdown that shows you kind of how the payments are broken out. The professional services, we are tied to milestones. So as the vendor completes a milestone, we will sign off that that's completed and issue the check for that appropriate amount. And that's basically all I have. Are there any questions for me?
Well, let me ask, are there any questions, Mr. Miller?
Thank you very much for that presentation. My first question is what is it about the transition to the new government that prevented the 2009 RFP from being followed up on?
We looked at that RFP, and the requirements were actually a little weak. We wanted a lot more detail in it, and we wanted to make sure that the responses that we got, that we were covering all of the needs and the functionality that we had requested.
Okay. And when you issued the second RFP, was the second RFP different simply in requesting more information and more detail about basically the same basic system, or was the proposal for the system itself different as well?
It was a proposal for the same system, but again, the second proposal contained a lot more detail. So I think we had over, similar to ERP, we had probably about 2,000 individual requirements that we asked the vendors to complete, whereas the first RFP was just generally basic narrative. So it didn't include the detail that we included in the second RFP.
Will this system have any interaction with the ERP system, and if so, is it fully compatible?
Yes, the system will have interaction with the ERP system, and with this system we do have what they call APIs, application programming interfaces, or we can create web services for the 2 systems to talk to each other. So that's part of what we really like about this system is the transparent data model and the ability for us to code it so that it can interact with other systems.
And regarding the support and maintenance, does it involve a certain amount of cost regardless of the extent to which it's used, or is it is it based on services actually provided?
It does not matter how much services we use. We will have open support for issues that are covered. Like I said, we even went above and beyond that. We in the maintenance agreement we asked for extended hours during heavy processing cycles. So if we know we're going to be here late, during right around the Christmas holiday, we want to make sure that the vendor's going to be available if we have any issues around that. We also included in the support and maintenance agreement additional training. So over the next 5 years, as the system may have new releases or updates available, or we discover we need new functionality, we put additional training in there so that we can send staff for that training and they can learn to use the system to its full potential.
How long is the support and maintenance agreement for?
It's for 5 years.
And that's at a cost of $2,410,000. Is that correct?
Correct. The maintenance agreement is actually for years 1 through 4 less than what we are paying the current vendor today.
And so it would be the same cost regardless of whether we need the services a little or a lot. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And why did we decide to do it that way as opposed to setting it up so that we would pay for services as needed?
I guess my only answer to that is it's a standard maintenance agreement. This is typically, the type of maintenance that you purchase when you buy a system such as this. So we really didn't deviate from the general terms too much, only to actually add more services and add more functionality that we had requested.
Thank you.
Mr. Gallagher, then Ms. Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. More of a comment for the committee and the executive team. We'll be looking again at the ProWare contract for Common Pleas Court, which is approaching $50 million. For $7,616,269, I'm going to get a full-blown, brand-new program that probably, because I don't know, but probably goes more in-depth into a more detailed organization and schematic as far as the state and county are concerned. Structure is complicated, consists of over 2,000 tables with design base, blah, 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 blah. My point being is for $2 million, we're paying $2 million a year in maintenance on that contract alone. So I've always thought something was up. So I think we'll be digging real deep into this one again because the $2 million per year is up. And in this, I find it very interesting, is that should the county issue no change orders and complete only 1/4 of parallel process and implementation costs could be reduced by $1,091,361. Every time we make a change on the ProWare contract, it costs us more and more and more money outside the contract. So I still think something's up, and I've kept my mouth shut for 2 full years, which is not the easiest thing for me to do. But I assume this went through legal, and they're okay with it?
Yes, this actually I sat in on the contract negotiations with legal.
Okay, and legal, I'll give you a little heads up. My antennae are up. The flag is raised, and it's red. I know you've either seen or you'll be getting a contract from ProWare with all kinds of red lines. It's going to be interesting to see what your comments are regarding that contract with somewhat similar services in this contract. So just a word to the wise and a heads up to the executive. 2 years I've been quiet. Here we go again. Just saying. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I can only imagine what 2 years of pent-up Gallagher looks like. Ms. Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With the problems, regarding the problems with the existing system, it stated that there's a lot of manual processes. So with this new system, I'm guessing improving efficiency is the ultimate goal. So what type of reductions in time and processing do you anticipate with the new system?
Well, we would like to get rid of all the manual processes, like I said, so staff are doing a significant amount of work outside of the system. This system will be self-contained, so all of the functions will be within it. When we were doing our due diligence and we contacted other counties that were using this system, there were changes in the processing speed. For example, when we go to calculate tax bills, sometimes that will take us 4 to 5 to 6 days. And with this system, it's done in minutes.
Excellent. Okay, and the other question I have, we currently, you stated that we have currently 2,000 tables. So how many tables will the new system have, or do you anticipate?
I'm not really sure I can answer that question, but we do have the vendor here. Do you know about how many tables we have?
Ms. Brown, I don't know the details of the tables, but not as many as 2,000. But what we'll do is, as part of the
Sir, just come up to the microphone.
I apologize. My name is Richard Biani. I do not know the number of tables in the software in Govern, but it is not 2,000 tables, yet they are properly linked together, and we're going to transfer that data from the existing system into the tables within Govern.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you.
And if I could just add to that's one thing that we really liked about this system was, and again, as we did our due diligence, there is a significant amount of education and training, over 2,000 hours of training actually in this contract for staff, so they will know the system very well, and they will understand the data model so that they can create their own reports and be much more efficient.
Just a couple observations and questions. So $7.6 million on a $15 million budget. What's the funding source for this?
These are all non-general fund dollars. The majority of them are coming from the Real Estate Assessment Fund, which by law can only be used for certain purposes, one of which is computer automation. So these funds have been targeted for that.
So the remaining $7.4 million can only be used for these related type of activities.
Yes, related to real property type activities.
Okay, and we're licensing this software?
Yes.
Is that correct? So we don't own it?
We do not own it, no.
Any of the changes, getting back to Mr. Gallagher's point, we've made changes to ProWare that they've used for other clients. Any changes that we pay for, do we own? Are they restricted to our use only?
We will not be changing the base code. The vendor
Right.
understands the base code. Any, say we want to add a table or add a link to a database, we can do that on our own. That would be covered as a supported item. I'm not sure if that answered your question.
So who would own, if we caused a change to be made and we paid for it, does the vendor have the ability to resell that product or incorporate it in their base package to other customers of theirs?
That could potentially happen if we requested changes. In fact, the vendor does have a user group that we would like to be participating in, where they take suggestions, for example, on things that they could do to enhance their product or kind of wish list type items. And my understanding is that group meets on a regular basis, and those requests are reviewed and categorized and implemented. So it could be potential that we request an enhancement or functionality, and it is incorporated for other counties to use.
So, okay, but we pay for it. So we pay, let's say we want a new report, or a new process is created as a result of something we do. We pay for that change. We don't own it, and then they can turn around and market it and sell it to other customers?
We will not be paying for any changes that are part of configuration of the systems.
No, I'm saying down the road. Let's say we're 3 years down the road and we want to create a new report. Say Mr. Kennedy or I'm glad Mr. Murray is here, asks to see from the Treasurer's Office a new type of report. We pay for that report to be produced. Do we own that report? Is it then exclusive to us, or can the vendor then turn around and sell that report?
Most of the reports that we will be generating from the system, we will be able to create on our own. So,
well, let me just make it more general.
Okay.
Anything we pay for to change the base package, is that exclusively ours, or does the vendor then have the ability to license that out to other customers?
I imagine the vendor would have license to provide that to other customers. If it's something, however, that is specific to Cuyahoga County, I don't see that being, used for other counties.
So we may pay for a change, not own it. They can market it and make money off what we paid them to change. Is that, Mr. Boatwright, is that what's in the agreement? Or maybe the vendor can address that issue?
Yes, I'd prefer the
I don't mean to put you on the spot. No, you are put on the spot. I didn't mean to put her on the spot.
So I'm on the spot. I was going to come up and help you. Mr. Greenspan, yes, we do. When we do a certain custom effort, if it is an enhancement, we're not rewriting the software because the base package, and as Debbie indicated about the configurability, I'll talk and I'll address it a little bit. But the base system will meet your requirement. There might be some enhancements and needs where, yes, you pay for it. That goes to all our customers. So, for example, if it is an enhancement that meets other customers, we make it part of our base product and we make it available to other customers. And when other customers as well pay for certain enhancements that doesn't make on the wish list, where the customers vote for us to develop it at no cost, then other customers would pay for it and become available to other customers in the market. Govern brings a higher technology to the county. Ms. Brown asked about efficiencies and so on. Not only creating reports is configurable and scheduling every report, scheduling every process, all done automatically and in an automated process, therefore reducing manual work and effort. Today, in software packages and with Govern, with its configurability, even screens. So today, when you get the base screens, the counties can at any time take any of our screens, create any dashboard, any report, streamline those screens for data access for your staff, therefore reducing mouse clicks and screens that they need to go to see the data that they need immediately.
Okay. I'm not sure you answered my question, Mr. Boatwright. Do you understand what I'm asking?
I didn't draft the contract, so I can check and see who did, and then we can get back to you on.
Lisa Avery Hart was the attorney that we
So we'll have her get in touch with you.
Just between now and the 13th.
And then that should take care of it.
On the maintenance side, so obviously maintenance is locked in for 5 years. What do we envision the escalator to be in year 6? Traditionally, I guess this is maybe more to the vendor. What do you see a 5% annual increase in maintenance costs? What might we look for? It's great now, but is it $500,000 a year for 5 years? For each of the first 5 years, just rounding, and then all of a sudden, we're deep in with you guys like ProWare, and all of a sudden you say, oh, by the way, your maintenance to be on board with us now that you're fully integrated is $900,000 a year, and take it or leave it. Knowing to leave it would be disruptive. What's your typical maintenance escalator?
The typical escalation is 5 to 6% that we use on an annual basis, mainly locked at 6% over the last X number of years. It hasn't gone drastic.
And Mr. Boatwright, if you can look and see if there's a current provision in the agreement, so we don't get jammed on maintenance fees in year 6 and beyond. Jam's the technical term. Might not be a legal term. Any other questions? I don't have any other questions. No.
I would like to request, if possible, that this, if the committee would be so inclined to recommend this on second reading, only because we would like to begin with a full tax year in January, so the sooner we can get the vendor in to start working on the project, data conversion, a fit report to make sure infrastructure, we don't need to purchase any additional servers or hardware. So time is kind of the essence, so if we could get a start on this, the earlier would be better.
And I'll make that motion, but just to be clear, it's not anticipated that January of 16 will be live with the system. There's an integration. No. I think it's 18, correct?
It's a 2-year project. Yes, it's a 2-year implementation cycle. And again, we requested the 4 quarters of parallel processing. So best case scenario would be 2018.
And the funding's money's in the bank. I'm looking at our fiscal guys. They're both shaking their heads. Absolutely. Okay. Well, then I'll go ahead and make a motion that we This committee recommends all three resolutions, 0197, 0198, and 0199 for the full council under second reading suspension for the meeting on October 13th. We'll hold that vote for Mr. Miller's question. Well, I do have a second, though, correct? Okay, Mr. Miller.
My question is, it's a follow-up around the implementation target. You talked about a 12-month parallel time process. When would that parallel process start?
It would start in January of 2018. So if
So you're saying it would take 2 years to get the system up and running in 2016 and 17, and then in 2018 you'd have the 1 year under parallel process, and then in 2019 it would be on its own.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
But further, the expectation is with very little modification, you might beat that 2-year window, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, very good. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Mr. Gallagher is just, I can't imagine what.
Wait to get out of here. I've got something to do now.
All right, so the motion and second. All in favor of referring these three items for second reading suspension signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, those three items are so moved. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And I thank the vendor for coming in. Thank you. All right, is there any miscellaneous business before the committee? Okay, we have a committee meeting next Monday at 1 p.m. to discuss the Emergency Operations Center. Other than that, is there any other public comment?
No, not this week.
Madam Clerk, any other public comment?
No, Mr. Chair.
Okay, very good. Then we'll stand adjourned. Thank you.
C-Tag was on